All right, we are continuing our autopsy, scalpel out, very bloody, of why Kamala Harris lost this election in record fashion. I've gone through factors, not ranking them. Condescension by Democrats. Extraordinary successful withdrawal from Afghanistan. Border secure, economy's great. Surrendering to psychos. Students on campus, anti-Semitic students on campus. They never could condemn it. Because why? Oh, we might lose Dearborn, Michigan. Great strategy. What was the Michigan result again? Oh, that's right, you lost. And the Arabs voted strongly for Donald Trump. Joe Biden, a big factor, deciding to run for a second term. That was one that contributed. Weak bench, Tim Walz. Vice President Tim Walz. Couldn't name Josh Shapiro. Couldn't name Gretchen Whitmer because she's a shrew. Couldn't name Gavin Newsom because he's ruined California. They have no deep bench. And Tampon Timmy Walz will go back to Minnesota, where he will serve 2 more years as governor, do everything he can to ruin that state. And then we'll have a Republican governor in Minnesota. That is my prediction. Okay, so those are the ones I've gone through so far. While I was on Joe Biden, I mentioned his ego. It is more than Joe Biden's ego. It is the party's ego, the Democratic Party's ego. How many times have I said, the thing about Democrats is they never hold a victory party. They're always pushing, right? And I frame that in the fact that that's why they're hard to defeat, because they get a win on this, they get a win on something, and they push. They never stop to celebrate. They would have been wise to adopt a different mantra. This far and no farther. As recently as 2008, ladies and gentlemen, 2008, California, the bluest state in the country, if not New York, rejected gay marriage in a statewide ballot issue. But eventually, under Obama, who denied his support for gay marriage, the Democratic Party won on the issue of gay marriage. I still think it's an abomination for the people trapped in that lifestyle. I want to make sure I clearly articulate that I have nothing against anyone personally who's gay. I just believe it's at odds with the way God calls you to live your life and the way he designed you. But they won on gay marriage, and they didn't hold the victory party, and they pushed, and where did their craziness lead them? To men can be women, men can chest feed, men can get pregnant, men menstruate, trans women are women, and there's nothing wrong with Leah Thomas winning an NCAA title at the expense of Riley Gaines and other women. Party ego, a big factor in Kamala Harris's loss. Another factor, of course, their failed policies. I said I wasn't going to give you 10 failed policies because there's more than 10. They have embraced defund the police. I mentioned before, they sicked the DOJ on parents at school board meetings. EV mandates, no gas stoves, suing Texas, trying to defend its own border. International weakness related to the Afghanistan withdrawal. Fecklessness on Israel and the Middle East, and waffling on support. Spending inordinate amounts of money. Suspending the Keystone XL pipeline. Calling the Inflation Reduction Act the Inflation Reduction Act instead of what it was, a climate giveaway and a boondoggle for non-governmental organizations which were assisting in the evisceration of our southern border. Their failed policies don't work. A big factor in Kamala Harris's loss. Now, this is one of my personal favorites. The Obamas, who epitomize the failure of celebrity culture to order Americans around and tell them what to do. I said they were tentacles and they bleed one category into another. Sure, condescension is part of this, but it's also a misread by Democrats that, oh, if we run Beyonce out there, even if she doesn't sing, if we run Taylor Swift out there to post a meme holding a cat endorsing Kamala Harris, if we get Cardi B, who's too stupid to speak off the top of her head, yes, stupid to speak off the top of her head when the teleprompter breaks, and she has to mess around on stage until somebody brings her a phone that she can barely read from, nobody bought it. Nor did people buy Obama hectoring black men that they were sexist if they decided not to vote for Kamala Harris. Women have instincts about men, and men have instincts about women. And at play in this election was that a lot of men looked at Kamala Harris and said, incapable, not able to run the country, not a leader, not an authentic thinker. You could almost see her, every question she was asked when she finally decided to come out of her rabbit hole and do interviews, even with friendly people like Stephanie Ruhle and Howard Stern and Colbert and others. You could almost see her in those friendly environments. Every question was a weighing exercise. What if I say this? What if I say that? Conversely, Donald Trump, while he says a lot of things inelegantly and inarticulately and clumsily, you always know where he stands. Men can respect that. And you know what? A lot of women respect it too. So the Obamas' political legacy is in ruins. As if you didn't take enough losses in the midterms in 2014 and you didn't get the message then. You hung around Washington, D.C. to run your third term with Joe Biden as your puppet. And you were trying to do a fourth with Kamala Harris. Your legacy is permanently tarnished, as is that of celebrity culture. And now we get to the final two categories. Number one, you ran a terrible candidate. A horrifically, historically awful, incapable, incompetent candidate. She has failed up at every stage of her public life. She was a rotten prosecutor who lied about the number of cases she prosecuted. She lied about working at McDonald's. She barely won an election in California as state attorney general. She was handed a Senate seat where she grandstanded during the Kavanaugh hearings. She called Joe Biden a racist, and yet in a party where intersectionality triumphs over all, intersectionality uber alles, she was given the vice presidency and she couldn't do the job. I've been to the border. No, you actually haven't been to the border. Well, I've never been to Europe either. What's your point? Everybody knew the point but you. And finally, the last factor, and the most important factor in Kamala Harris losing, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a singularly unique political force field. He is the offense that Democrats have not figured out how to defend. You know, occasionally in football, there's like a new wrinkle. The spread offense, the wildcat, or on defense, the 46 defense of Buddy Ryan and the 85 Bears, and the rest of the league takes a couple years to figure it out. Donald Trump is the offense that the Democrats have never figured out how to defend, because though he is a New York billionaire and should have nothing in common with the American working man and woman, he in fact resonates with them because he respects them. He respects our military. He respects the fact that living in America should not be made more difficult by the government. Donald Trump is a force field Democrats have never figured out how to handle. He has unique political instincts. McDonald's, the garbage truck, he's the factor that Democrats couldn't